It's America at Night with Rich Valdés.
You know, on Friday, there was, as the media is putting it, a father of three who was concerned about the children and he got shot in the back. Of course, I don't have all the details on that, but they're claiming that ICE is being aggressive. And in fact, we see quite the opposite most of the time. We see ICE getting attacked by citizens, people ramming them with their cars. I just saw a video last night of ICE agents doing what they had to do and masked Antifa people with keffiyehs on, attacking the ICE officers. So things are getting wild in the streets for ICE. And we think, where does this come from? It comes from the indoctrination, the communist teachings that come out of higher education. But it's getting worse. We got a scoop from Emily Sturge from Campus Reform. Emily Sturge, welcome back. Talk to me about, you got a new piece right now that talks specifically about a new course that talks about training people to hate and attack ICE.
Yeah, of course. No, shocker. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm a reporter for Campus Reform, so I'm seeing this campus chaos all the time, but specifically this anti-ICE sentiment, especially with President Trump back in the Oval Office. It has just exploded on American college campuses. And my latest example, it's at UC Berkeley. It's this college course. It's taught by two attorneys that defend deportations of illegal immigrants. And they're actually teaching this course. They're teaching students about the Abolish ICE movement. They're teaching that ICE is a racist deportation force. They're teaching that it's white supremacist. And I actually went through these course readings. All of them are as leftist as they come. They are completely indoctrinating these students taking this course. And not a single course reading defends our Constitution or defends our national security. That's what's coming out of our education system right now. Administrators are bending over backward to protect illegal aliens, specifically under this administration since President Trump's return into office, instead of teaching the next generation to uphold the law. That's the message of our education system right now.
You know, Emily Sturge, I look at this stuff and I think, this has been the norm, right? It really has been the norm to teach communist principles cloaked in socialism, cloaked in collectivism, cloaked in whatever neo-leftist terminology they come up with on campus. However, it's getting more specific, it seems. Now it's a how-to manual on go after these guys, and it's like they've revamped it. You know, it's Hate America 2.0.
Well, how-to manual is correct because since this president has returned to office, we've uncovered at Campus Reform, universities have actually printed out how-to guides for illegal alien students telling them how to get away from ICE, how to evade deportation, step by step, how to handle interactions with ICE officers. Don't open the door, don't speak. Harvard, some other universities in Boston have held these trainings teaching illegal aliens in Spanish how to evade deportation. Some of the first schools that we reported, Fordham University in New York was passing out these how-to guides. The University of North Carolina, Asheville was another example, one of the first schools to do it. But this is across the country where we're seeing universities provide these resources on their university websites, printing them out. Many universities have undocumented student resource centers, specifically for illegal alien students, and it's taxpayer funded. These universities are getting state funds. Some of them are getting local funds for these programs, but then they're also getting federal funds. These universities are taking federal funds, turning around and defending deportations for illegal aliens.
You know, Emily Sturge, I have two daughters, and I remember when my oldest was applying to colleges, and we were doing the financial aid stuff on the FAFSA website, and it connects to the New Jersey version of FAFSA, whatever it's called, I forget right now. And one of the questions was, are you in the United States legally or authorized or whatever word they used? And so, you know, she looks at me, she's like, yeah, I'm a citizen, right? So she clicks, yeah. And I said, I want to see, put the other way. So she clicked the other way, and I saw what the next screen was, and it had all of these resources, and it said, oh, you are eligible for in-state tuition for, you know, at the lower rate, which I thought was like, I mean, okay, it's a break, right? I don't want to split hairs, but it kept going and said, and if you can't afford that, and then there were other resources making it available. And I'm not trying to hate on anybody's kid, but I think if you want to give of your excess, that's on you, and Jesus says you probably should, but The government isn't called to do that, right? You're called to do that as a person with what you've earned for yourself. The government hasn't earned anything. They don't build anything. They don't sell anything. They're actually taking your money and everybody else's money and giving it away on their own whim, on their own behalf. And I think this is a really, really big problem because we're funding the downfall of our country because it's not because they're immigrants. It's because they're being taught to hate America.
Yes, absolutely. And the story with your daughter here, your daughter is an American student. She's not getting those resources handed to her. I've reported scholarships that illegal alien students can use that money for housing, for technology, for their textbooks, for medical bills, things like that. The University of Michigan, that's a specific scholarship I'm thinking of in my head. That university spent $100,000 on scholarships for illegal aliens to use for anything. That money could have gone to American students, but it's not. It's going to the school is choosing to give it to illegal alien students. And then the in-state tuition for illegal aliens is something that I've reported a lot on. I'm from Florida, my home state. Governor Ron DeSantis did away with in-state tuition for illegal aliens not too long ago. It was earlier this year. I'm surprised Florida had it for that long. We've also seen the Department of Justice launch investigations into many states to overturn in-state tuition that was going to illegal alien students for a long time. Texas has overturned it. Oklahoma has overturned. But look, there's still 20 states to go. There are still many states providing discounted tuition rates to students that aren't American citizens, and maybe they're paying $10,000 a year, but American students who are out-of-state students are stuck with that massive sticker price. Some schools, it's like 50 grand.
Yeah, right. And again, the bigger issue here, because I think some people will hear this and say, well, why are you mad at those kids for trying to make it better in life? I'm not mad at them. I think that the issue here is that we are incentivizing something that is problematic in the country. And, I'll share a quick story with you, and then we'll take a pause and come back and continue this. But there's a restaurant that I love going to, a Spanish place, terrific. And one of the waitresses that works there, she came here on a visa, on a vacation, fell in love here, and didn't go home. So she was a visa overstay. Ended up getting married to an American, and they're happily married now, so she's on her way to citizenship. But we were talking about this, and it's not because of her status. It's because she comes from Colombia. And in Colombia, they had an influx of Venezuelans and had a huge problem with immigration because taxi drivers started losing their jobs because the Venezuelans came in and started undercutting them on all their costs. Just like in any other society, it doesn't matter where they come from. It's when it's unchecked immigration, it hurts your economy. And yesterday we were talking, and she said, I don't follow the news. I'm not very political. She said, but this thing where they're cutting off the food stamps and all that. And she's like, I think that's a good idea.
Wow.
And I said, well, why? She said, because you can't incentivize, you can't give them more of a reason to stay or to come when you already have a problem.
Right.
And she's speaking from the experience of, she saw this happen in Colombia. People were losing their waitress and waiter jobs because people were coming and saying, I'll work for half. Mm-hmm. And when people start, it's not a free market when you're importing labor that's cheaper than market rate. Right. I think that's kind of how you put your thumb on the scale of a free market. So I just wanted to share that because that's really my perspective here. I don't begrudge any kid. I want every kid that's in this country to go to college if that's what they want to do and to be great. But maybe not on my dime, right? Because I have two kids and I got to pay for them.
Let's put American students first.
That's it. And let your parents pay, right? Do what you got to do. I'd want the government out of absolutely everything. Now, Emily, you have a piece that is pretty insightful coming out of Nevada where there's some crazy stuff going on. Tell us more.
Yeah, so the Department of Justice is urging for an investigation into the University of Nevada, Reno, because this university for a long time, just like hundreds of other universities throughout this country, has been providing resources specifically to illegal aliens, using taxpayer funds to provide things like scholarships, in-state tuition, financial aid, things like that to illegal alien students. And one thing about this administration is both the Department of Justice and the Department of Education has been fantastic of looking into cases at universities, specific scholarships, specific financial benefits, and saying, look, these should be going to American students if they're paid for with American tax dollars. And so that university is just the latest example.
Now, let's talk about I guess, your perspective, right? You're a Gen Z person that's covering these topics, and they're not new, but they seem to be getting worse from my perspective. What's when you're digging in and getting the scoop on these things, what are some of the reasons you hear of people why they embrace this leftward movement on university campuses?
Well, if you look at a university campus today, you see anti-Americanism, you see anti-Semitism, you see anti-capitalism. It feels like so many of our college courses go back to those three things. Any political science class, any classes in the social sciences. Once again, that's a reason why if you're going to go to college, you should probably look more into degrees, something like business or finance, something that you learn less of the ideology. But leftist ideology has overtaken our courses so much that those three things, anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Semitism, has just pervaded Gen Z's life. And we were talking about the election here in New York City.
Yeah.
Because that's what so many Gen Zers are learning in the education system, we are going to see it. There's a good chance we see it at the ballot box. And now we're seeing Gen Zers take that mindset from college. They're taking it to the corporate world. They're taking it to life after graduation. And they're going to be taking it as they cast their votes in this election.
And moving besides New York election and the Virginia election, I'm looking at, the other day I saw something that said AOC for president. And this is, I think, her first year where she's able to run because she'll be 35. And I thought, probably not the first time a member of Congress has run for president, but I consider her to be an ineffective member of Congress because she really hasn't gotten too many bills passed that she introduced, which is, I think, the job there, right? To vote on them, introduce new bills, make laws. She hasn't done a whole ton of that. I think she got a post office renamed in the Bronx. And right, so shout out to the post office in the Bronx with a new name to AOC. But I feel like there's a lot of sizzle and not a lot of steak. I think it's crazy. I don't think that's something that has a lot of gravitas. Chuck Schumer, I think, takes exception to what I'm saying, and I think he disagrees. I think he's afraid of AOC and thinks that she could mount a credible statewide primary against him, and that's why he kind of caves to certain things. Is that the sense that you have when you're doing this research across the country, that the lefties are that popular?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. Socialism is coming to a city near you. When we have this conversation about Mamdani, a lot of people tune out because 98% of the country doesn't live here in New York City. And so they just assume, oh, that's just New York craziness. But this is popping up in cities nationwide. I mean, we're here talking about AOC potentially being a candidate in 2028, bringing that radical leftist ideology into the mainstream. It's not just the New York City race. In Seattle, Katie Wilson is the candidate there. She's a far lefty, defund the police, anti-Trump candidate who has a good shot at winning. Seattle. Well, my hometown, Miami, Florida, we have a woman running down there.
Oh my gosh.
Who says that Fidel Castro is her hero.
I saw that clip. I got to tell you, that's crazy. That is like heresy in Miami.
It is. And I'm from a neighborhood where I grew up around probably 98% Cuban American population. They flipped Miami-Dade red.
Yeah.
This is a population that loves this country, loves freedom. They came to this country because they love freedom. And now we have a far left socialist candidate running in Miami-Dade saying that she idolizes Fidel Castro.
But this is great. And I wish I could play this video for everybody right now, but this woman is nuts, right? And I don't say that because I'm a biased conservative. I think most people would look at her, and I think AOC would look at her and say, I think she's nuts.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do, because that woman is she didn't just say like pro-socialism. Like, AOC's kind of smart in that way. Here's an outtake for you, right? She follows the Bernie Sanders, it's the billionaires. She's never praised Fidel Castro, right? AOC's not dumb to do that. Maybe she's dumb, but she's not dumb enough to do that. Right. But this woman did, and she did it in Miami.
And she doubled down on it.
She did, and I saw Mayor Suarez from giving a reaction to that, and I'm thinking, how? She's not from there, that I know, but she's been there long enough to know. You don't do that there.
You don't do that.
It was the craziest thing I've seen really to date, and it made me laugh, and it still makes me laugh.
That crazy?
That is crazy.
Look at Boston. We have Michelle Wu. In Chicago, we have Brandon Johnson. We have these very far
and Omar
left.
Fateh, who's running.
Yes, that's another example. Is that Minneapolis?
Yeah. Whoa.
Socialism is coming to a city near you. It's no longer 98% of the country that can write this off and say, oh, it's just in New York City, because it's in cities popping up throughout the United States. And cities are hubs of influence. Ideas spread outward. Policies spread outward. These ideas are becoming more mainstream, and we need to be aware of it.
Emily Sturge, I am 47. I lived a different life than people from Gen Z. I owned a business at 16, and I did different things. I love America because it gave me a lot of opportunity. How do you sell what I'm selling to people in your age group? Because I think they don't like it. They like Bernie Sanders. They like AOC. They like free. They want a free train. I don't want a free train. I want no tax.
Well, this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I'm reporting on the higher education system at Campus Reform, because it is our education system that is teaching young people to put their hands out and ask for things that are free. If you walk on a college campus today, you will see signs that say capitalism is theft, capitalism is evil. College courses absolutely demonize capitalism and praise socialism. I was reading through some course syllabi. Harvard University had a course there. It's no longer offered, but for a while it was offered, where they taught that capitalism contributed to climate change. So that meant that capitalism is evil. It's killing the earth.
Right.
And so it makes sense when you start reading the course syllabi why so many young people are on board with doing away with capitalism, why they would support a candidate like Zoran Mamdani. It makes more sense when you actually dig into it, look into the course readings, and look what they're learning in the classroom.
Something you and I have in common is I grew up around a lot of Cubans, and so did you. And let me tell you, it's hard. They don't allow it. Right?
They're hard workers.
Yeah, I remember being a kid, 15, 14, I would go to my friend's house, meet their parents. They would legit ask, who are you, where are you from, where are your parents from? They wanted to know if you came from a socialist country. Like if you said Venezuela, they were going to look at you sideways. They wanted to know, did you break ties with that? They were so strong on this. Those people can smell that stuff coming from so far away. And I love that about them. I have one of my good friends, Cuban guy, came here from on a jet ski from Havana, Cuba to Key West.
Mm-hmm.
And diehard American. He's a citizen. He loves his country. He's probably one of the 2 or 3 Cubans I've met in my life that isn't a hardcore conservative Republican, but he still loves America. He just doesn't like Trump. But I'm working on him. But my point is, these guys, one thing they all hate is communism. They hate it because they've lived it. We were talking last week, and he tells me, he's like, yeah, I remember when I was in the Army, I was really hungry. And I was like, why, they don't give you food? And he was like, no. And it ended there. He was like, yeah, just because you're in the Army. He's like, it's the government. The government does what they feel like doing. They give you a little bit of food, and that's it. You're on your own. And he's like, this isn't like here. Every time I ask a question, he always says, it's not like here. He's like, here, they want your military to be strong. He's like, there, these guys look malnourished because they don't care. They don't care about anything. Nobody's invading Cuba. It's all a show. And he always tells me, it's all smoke and mirrors because all they do is lie. And the more you starve, the more the guys at the top skim off the top and eat. And that is just such a shame. And like you said, it's coming to a city near you, and that's scary. Emily Sturge, tell everybody how they find you and your articles.
I'm at Real Emily Sturge on all social media platforms, and I'm posting articles every day at campusreform.org.
Campusreform.org, at Real Emily Sturge on all the social media. And what's the next big thing you're working on?
I am constantly looking out for these taxpayer-funded resources going to illegal alien students, and we've done some great reporting at Campus Reform. Since I've been uncovering things happening on campuses, we've seen the administration take notice and actually target, investigate, and cut some of the resources that we're reporting.
Kudos to you. God bless America.